Hi, everybody. My name's Chris, and all the time I hear people talking about, oh, these content creators only make stuff for these regionals that they play. They only talk about top 16 decks. So I wanted to share with you a bunch of decks that I think you could take to a locals and have a lot of fun with, and maybe spark some joy for the game again and get your creative juices going. Because maybe you'll find something here and do something cool with it. Anyway, I'm going to do it in an Omnibus format. We're going to spend a minute or less on each one of these decks. So first up is One Punch Man, One Punch Spinner. So we're going to play as many of these foundations that we can play things while committed as possible. We have our assets that do the same thing, and then we're going to play a One Punch, otherwise known as United States of Smash, and we're going to turn it all sideways, and we're going to respond for a bunch of speed, and respond for a bunch of damage, and then we're going to kill them. That's it. That's my whole essay. You just spinner and you play One Punch Man, and we play spinner because you can put one card down after you play the One Punch and give it more damage. That's it. That's that one. Next up is Toga 4. This is Toga 4. She's a cool character who can become Elder Secret on defense and either Kurama or Recovery Girl on offense. Usually Kurama. So we're going to use all of these cards that have Echo or go to Momentum, and we're going to get 1,000 enhanced steps. So dual lunge, put a card in your card pool. Then we'll go to Double Spear Blast, and we get put their block mana for +1, which is kind of like a card in the card pool. So we Kurama twice, then we Kurama 3 times, and then we Echo. We Kurama again, and then we give it block mana for +1, which is kind of like Kurama-ing. So we Kurama 5 times, and then we play Instant Shining Flash, and we Kurama, and then we Storm of Arrows, and we Kurama, and we Echo that by discarding the Instant Shining Flash, so we Kurama another time, and then we play something, and hopefully they're dead. I don't know, that's the whole deck. And then apart from that, I really wanted to play Researching the Answer and a Sun's Love for +2 to my hand size. That's kind of cool. All right, next one is Annie. This is a deck that I've been playing for the past week. I really like the character. I really like the stuff. I think she's really neat. Her transformation mechanic is actually kind of nuanced and isn't just like a do thing while you're the regular one, do thing while you're the other one, you know. And so the things that I want to be doing with the character are twofold. One, the first half of it is Emerge Victorious and Colossal Titan attacks. If you really want to do just this thing, you can take out the attack titans and the female titans and just play the Colossal Titan. And what you do is you flip Annie and get the Titan small, and then you play an Emerge Victorious, and then you sacrifice that Titan to become a Colossal Titan, and you make them flip 2 and discard 2. And I think that's very fun. The other half of this deck, what I like to be doing is playing Knockdown Blow, guaranteeing that it hits with Throw from Annie, and then responding with Award the Victor. So we can functionally check a 9 to play our Colossus Titan attacks, and I think that's really funny. Apart from that, I want to play Colossus Thermal Blast and give it Throw with Annie, so we're playing 1,000 cards and trying to pass them. Next up is Reiner. I think this deck is actually really, really good. It's one that I've been working on really, really closely with my good friend Sebastian. It's a very, very tight, very, very competitive list, I think, if you are mentally there. Otherwise, it's a very fun deck to take to locals to challenge your friends. And I'm not going to go into it because it's just like a very complex deck. But the fun thing is you can sideboard Code White for your control matchups and Fortitude of the Armor Titan for your aggro matchups, and I think that's neat. Apart from that, you can read the cards, you can figure out what it does. It's a grindy control, like throws and big moves deck, and I think it's really cool. Next is Kiryu. I think Kiryu is really fun. Kiryu gets to play Intimidating Command, which is really, really fun. So we play only 2 kinds of 2-dips that both flip over when we need to, and I think Intimidating Command is really funny. And then it also gets to play Wall Maria's Might. So we're using the Fortify Walls and the Faith in Walls to put counters onto our stuff, and then play Wall Maria's Might to draw 1 with Kiryu, and then draw more with it. I think it's really fun. It's an explosive and hilarious deck to play. You get to play Armor of the Wolf with 3/3 because you get to play Mecha Godzilla's ability on it. Apart from that, it's just basically, here's my big dumb 5 diffs thing, but you get to draw off of playing City Rampage and all your other things, and I think that's really cool. So yeah, it's a simple, straight ahead aggro, like 5-hander. Here's Karasu. I think that this is kind of like a starting point. I like Grenadier Braces in this character because it's kind of funny, but you could just use the combined firepower package if you really wanted to. I think that this is a character that's kind of cool if you have a bunch of locals who are playing the shifters, because you get to be really annoying and keep them below 9, keep yourself below 9 as well, and I think that's nifty and fun. Here's Asui. This is a character who I think is undervalued, underplayed right now, especially since people aren't blocking too often. But Camouflage counter in this deck, you could actually just play 4 Camouflage counters and be fine. But once you get 2 of them, you could play it almost infinitely with All Might's Mentorship, and you could draw them off the top of the deck with Dance Routine, because that's what they do, right? You get to respond and put it on top of your deck with either one of them, and then you can also use Window Shopping to form and play it from the top. So it's not infinite, but it's like you could play it like 8 or 9 times, and that's kind of cool with the right board setup. And yeah, that's cool. This is a Jester deck that is for trolling your locals. You don't actually mill them, but what you do is you live forever to the point that they will eventually get bored of playing, and I think that's funny. Here's a Fat Gum deck. I think Fat Gum is really cool. He's like the original shifter, and he's a neat experiment for a deck builder because you need to find cards that both work as 5-hand size Fat Gum, because you need to get an enhanced step to commit and go find your foundation you want to build, but you also need cards that are, you know, also very good offensively as Fat Gum too. So all of the attacks are things that are very, very good, you know, on both sides of the table. And do stuff, right? And then the foundations, interestingly enough, we have 3 different cards that build from the top of our deck when we're hit, or just on your opponent's turn. So you can punish people who are being greedy with attacking you with your big health total, and also by just taking damage. So you have Weapon Clash, you have Titanic Combat, and you have Male Bonding, which all build from your opponent's turn. So if you build 5 or 6 on turn 1, and yes, it is possible, you can very easily on turn 2 do a double build and get to 11 to kill them on 3. I've even had situations where I killed them, or I was in deadlock on my turn 2 going second, and you know, we just went and murdered them. So I think that's kind of cool to be able to do. But this package of these Earth cards can be used in any shifting character, right? Like you could do it in Reiner to get to your shift. You can do it in, I don't know what other characters have Earth. Actually, the characters that have Earth at all. None of the characters have Earth. Okay, anyway, here's Hux. I think Hux is really cool. And you could do, I know that Mitchell's friend Ryan is very, very a big avid fan of Hank. But he uses Funny Punch, and instead I wanted to play Spirit Gun Final and Spirit Gun Ultimate and give it 5 damage, and then, or sorry, give it 5 speed, swap it to high, and give it 5 more damage to make it a 5 high for 15. I think that's really funny. Spirit Gun Ultimate is also really, really funny in this character. But things like Dimension Sword, I think that throws are good in this character because you have access to a lot of plus speed, then you can swap it to give it damage. And it's just in general a fun deck to play, very interactive, very, very cool. And it gets to play Jiro's base with, you know, without trolling because Hawk's Feathers are funny with it. And then we move into the retro decks. Maybe you're at home and you're like, man, I want to play retro, but it's so many cards in the format, I don't know where to begin. Well, I'll begin with you a couple of really funny retro decks that do something very unique and interesting. First up is Satoshi. I call this Party Time Satoshi because we play Let's Party, and then we play 1,000 cards. All of the editions do one of 2 things. First, they discard things from the card pool, so we can discard Let's Parties out of our card pool and play more of them. Satoshi himself already discards one from the card pool because he discards a weapon attack if it's your first form. The second thing that they do is shuffle cards back into the deck. So what we want to be doing is playing a Let's Party, searching out another Let's Party, discarding it from the card pool with either Satoshi or the 30 cards that can discard an attack from the card pool, play another Let's Party, search another Let's Party. So we played 3 of them. We play the 4th Let's Party, and now we're out of Let's Parties. What do I search for? Well, luckily for you, it's not a Blitz, it's an Enhance, which means you can shuffle them back in with things like Folktale Storyteller and Saved by Elena and Expert Archery. You put those Let's Parties back in, you just keep doing it until you're out of things that can discard cards from your card pool. And because you only have 4 1-checks in the deck, and you can selectively put that back in, you will be guaranteed to be checking 5s for the rest of the turn, and I think it's really neat. Next up is Janet. I'm not going to explain this deck very much. I will tell you one thing that I've been really, really obsessed with this deck right now is Guilty Throne and Golden Death. You can draw 3 with Guilty Throne, look at the top 3, and if they're all the same type, you can draw them all with Golden Death. Or you can stack 2 cards and guarantee draw 2 cards from the discard pile on top of the draw 2. So the draw 3 from Guilty Throne. I think it's really, really fun. You can just end turn with like 12 cards in hand after building, and then then you go into Prism Storm as your 7th form, and you get all your characters. You get to build all the babes and torment your opponent with stupid stuff. But anyway, it's fun. You should play it. This is Morrigan, who's playing a bunch of Morgans and other characters because her enhance says you discard the top of your deck, and then if it was a card that has a block, which they all do, right? The attack gets X speed equal to 0. Or sorry, the block modifier, and it's a check. So if you discard a character, you can give it attack -6 speed or +6 speed. So you Heart Mulligan for Confronting Jeddah, because it's the only card that matters on turn 1. You could build 1, and that's fine as long as it's Confronting Jeddah. And then on the next turn, you go, I don't know, attack, give it 6 speed. Attack, give it 6 speed. Ailerophobia. I have 8 characters in my discard pile. It get 8 speed. Oh, Morrigan, 6 more speed. So it's gotten 14 speed. I'll give it 14 damage with Confronting Jeddah. I'll remove the Confronting Jeddah as my only thing, and it doubles its damage to well, it got it was printed damage 2. It got 2 from the character being in stage, and then 14 more. 18 times 2 is 36. You kill any character in the format, apart from Shiva, I guess, right? And I think that's kind of funny. Morrigan's a really funny troll deck that can kill people on turn 2 very, very easily. Here's Takeda. This is my retro Takeda deck. You need to put in, the only thing that's missing here is a Koima's Task, because when I built this deck, Bang wasn't legal. But with Bang legal, you need Koima's Task. What we do is we use Shuriken or Takeda to stack Hiden, Genmu, Juan, Shikon, So. Yeah, say that 3 times fast. And then we combo in hands, and we remove our hand and your opponent's hand from the deck, and we draw equal to the total cards from them, not just yourself. It wheels the total. So if you had 7 in your hand and your opponent had 6 in the hand, you both draw 13. And then you can copy it with Fooled by the Master, and then you can say, hey, let's both draw 26. And then your opponent's like, well, that was cool. And you're like, I'm not done. I'm Takeda. Commit. I'll do it again. Let's both draw 52. And at that point, they're usually out of deck, and you are not, because you're playing a 90 card deck. And I think actually this should probably play 120 cards to just guarantee that, which I think is very funny. But yeah, this is a mill deck, but it mills them in a very unique way by making your opponent draw their whole deck, and that's cool. Last one I have is Gren. Gren's a character where you will find as many red capsules as possible. You go red a capsule, red a capsule, red a capsule, red a capsule, and on turn 2, you try to play all of your cards. That's it. That's the gist of the deck. It's just red eye capsules plus Gren plus 1,000 attacks, and you get to play Overhead Heel Crush, and I think that's kind of funny. And speaking of Overhead Heel Crush, you can play this in Ryukyu in retro if you're that kind of toxic asshole. Yeah, that's my my omnibus of decks that you can play in your locals to have fun. I hope you do build them. I hope you do have fun. You can find all these singles online if you really need to play them in person. And I'll have all of the deck lists in the description below. I hope you have a wonderful day. Smooches. Love you. Bye-bye.